Good, good evening, everyone. This is Taxonomy Tuesday from New Jersey Mycological Association. Tonight we'll start with a short presentation about fungi that I found in mulch or wood chips, the way I defined it. And then we'll go on to member finds. So I began with just trying to define what is mulch. Um, oh, you got this is. Can everybody see my screen here? What is
It's
mulch?
too small. Can you go into the slideshow view, please?
Yeah, if I go to the slideshow, it'll be hard for me to see what anything else is happening, but okay. Um, yeah, yeah, that's going to be hard because I'm going to be missing all the pictures. Anyway, mulch is usually put down to preserve moisture in your bedding garden. I know I use mulch. Some people use wood chips, which are bigger chunks, and they obviously last longer, but they both provide a weed barrier. The items that are probably growing in mulch are probably saprobes, which means they're decomposing the wood. An unstable connection. Um, in hardwood or a conifer wood mulch, the more typical would probably be the hardwood that we buy at this hardware stores because that's the cheapest, but I often use cedar near the house because that's also an insect deterrent. So I wanted to start out with the slime mold that you see often in mulch. This is not a fungi, but the Fuligo septica is very common, so everybody should be familiar with that one. I'll have the presentation in two steps. Ones are the ones that are small, and then the second part will be in the guild fungi. I did not cover crusts, and nor did I do any polypores, which I don't think I really found in mulch. So we have the bird's nest. We have some uh, the oh, this thing is really strange. It's cutting off from that side. I can't even see it myself. Um, the artillery fungus, the stinkhorns, the bacilles. Um, okay, so we start out with the bird's nest. We have the only one that we have in New Jersey that has white eggs or peridols, or the Crucibulum laeve. Then we go into the Cyathus genus. Theirs are usually gray. We have the olla, which has very big peridols. We have the stercoreus, which is a smooth in a cup. And then we have the striatus with striations in the cups. Then we have the artillery cannibal fungus, which I have not seen myself, but Marisol has many indications of those. That's something you don't want in your mulch because when that one spews out its spores, they're sticky and they stick onto things like your car and your house and your windows. Then the stinkhorns, which you'll smell before you see them. We have the elegans on the left with a clearly marked head somehow. And then we have the ravenelii, which has this is the egg part, just to show you the different when they start out and when they're grown. And this supposedly is also the caninus, the door cone, which is also supposed to have a head that's slightly different. I could not tell from the iNaturalist ones which ones were correctly identified between elegans and caninus. Then we have the phallus. This one I thought was very interesting from Nicole. Pure white. It has this netting that will appear. I've never seen that myself. We've had the ravenelii, which is also white with the gray cap. Notice it has a separate structure. Unlike the Mutinus genus, it has an actual structure on the head part that the glebe will form on that will attract insects to carry away the green spore mass. There's also an Imputicus, which I was also could not prove from the pictures which ones were which, with this reticulated edge on the head part. I could not tell the difference. And the hydrangea, which I used to always indicate was what it was, But I don't know if this one supposedly is in dunes, not found out where I normally see it, but I have seen things that I thought were hydranea in sandy patches in parks. We have the stinkhorn that forms arms that are fused at the top, the stinky squid. There's also other stinkhorns, which we have not found in New Jersey, the Saurus, which has the arms, but they're not fused. The last genus for stinkhorns is the Satyrus, which is spawned off, I guess, from the Phallus. So we have a wrinkly one, which I couldn't tell what makes it so wrinkly. They all look wrinkly to me. We have the rugulosus, which is more common than I think the rubicundus. That one is supposed to be more in the southern. One of the things I forgot to mention is I went through what Baroni's field guide has and searched for mulch and for wood chips and pulled out all the species that he thought was common enough to include in his field guide. Next. Okay, so that, all right, one last thing is the Pezizas. The varia supposedly is found in wood chips. And that one you can tell is Peziza by the agents. It should turn blue. This is found in hardwood chips. All right, the second part, I go into the guild. So we have the Leucoagaricus, Leucocoprinus, the Conocybe, Pluteus, Varia, Agacybe, Foliota, and Strophareus. And another thing that was pointed out to me, something called the chip cherry. We have a related species here, Larachiomyces squamosus, variation Thorosus. So I have never seen that either. So the first one is the onion stalked Lepiota, according to iNaturalist. This one is not considered an edible, I guess, for some people. The one that has the reddening Lepiota has been renamed into this new genus, Macropsalliota, Conocybe, Macrospora. I didn't find anyone that was in mulch, but Chris found one in his flower pot. And I think this is based on the size of the spores. That's how it was identified. Plutasis seems to be the most common. That would be considered found in mulch. Baroni says it differs from the Sabinus in the fact that the odor and taste from the Sabinus. These have spore prints of pink. Agacybe, praecox, I guess, is the one that is found in wood chips. It's considered a spring one from April to June. It has a dark spore print. The Stropharia, the one that's a wine cap that you can grow in your garden and is an edible. Different variations of it, showing in the variations of the color. What's interesting is the undersized with the gills. You can see these like wagon wheel structures underneath the cap, which I haven't seen in other items like that. Related species or a form of that same one is the golden wine cap, which Dave sent me a picture of. That's Dave's on the left. And this is Luke's on the right. It starts out as a button kind of shape and it opens up. It has an annulus. That is it. And the last species I have, boy, I'm going through this fast and my pictures did load, great, is the chip cherry. On iNaturalist, there's a lot of ones identified as the Satyrus, which is a western coast species. And I don't know which are right or wrong, but it's the cystidia thing that will differentiate whether you have the West Coast one or the one that was found in East Coast, which is Dave has a lot of instances of this on MO. And I think that's it. And that is it. I'm glad everything loaded fine. Guess it was just slow. Does anybody have anything they would like to comment on before we go for sharing of additional mulch dwellers?
I, I can add two species related to some that you mentioned. There's another cup fungi that is a spring mulch species,
Okay.
not exclusively, and neither is Peziza varia exclusively a mulch species. It also grows on wood in the forests. But Phylogenia used to be Peziza phylogena. Before that, it was Peziza confusa. I'm not sure why that name was changed. It's a new genus now, and it sounds like the species name. It's a brown cup, and the spores are different from varia. And there's an Agrasibe that I found in wood chips in the spring. Agrasibe putaminen, I think is the way you say it. It seems to be rather rare. There were a few years where I found it in the same exact spot a few years in a row, and then not again.
I didn't quite get the spelling of the Agrasibe.
I think it's Putam
EUT?
INUM, maybe. I might have some of those consonants mixed up. You want me to find? I can find you an observation and just put it in the
Okay.
chat. Yeah. How about that cup? Do you want to see the cup? Oh, wait, that looks like it there. The
Yeah, I
brown
don't
cup.
have it in mind.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
one
there
on.
it is. Phyloscypha. Yeah. Used to be Peziza, and it was also Peziza confusa a long time ago, like 20 years ago. Yeah, there it is. Is a
Yeah,
synonym.
yeah, occasionally found in wood chips.
Yeah. I see this all over the place in spring. Forest on sometimes on the ground in the forest, probably from buried wood. Did you get that? Okay, I'm gonna have to take a call.
Hello?
But I'll find that Agrasibe for you in just a second.
I have a small taxonomic nuance to discuss here.
Okay.
Luke, the mushroom that you called Macropsalliota americana, on Mushroom Observer, it's still known as Leucoagaricus americanus, which is not deprecated. So both of these names are valid for that species. So usually what happens on the Mo, when one name gets superseded by a more recent name, then it gets deprecated. Okay, it's no longer bolded. It's just in the usual font, unbolded font. But here we have two competing synonyms, which are both active. Leucoagaricus americanus, that's the name that I know this
Yes.
mushroom under, and the new name, Macropsalliota americana. And actually, I remember seeing this name before because it came out in 2024 after that paper from China. And there's also another name, surprisingly, that doesn't have any authorship. I have no idea where that came from for the species Leucocoprinus americanus. So I have to investigate that.
Yeah, that's also on the screen here. Yeah. Yeah, I found all these names all the same one. I figured the one that's the weirdest has got to be the one that people want to talk about.
So I'm probably going to contact Joseph Cohen, who is one of the MO administrators and programmers, and he also does a lot of taxonomy nomenclature on MO, basically correcting errors, putting anything that new that he has seen and things like that. So he's very competent. So this is going to be a very good question for him, whether we should reduce, uh, this entity to a single accepted name.
Yeah, I think Bruni likes the Leucoagaricus still.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to dig out a paper by Young et al. From 2024. It's in Phytotax, which unfortunately is not a journal that gives you free articles, if I recall correctly. They're just as bad as Mycologia, but I'll find it probably.
Do we know what the difference normally would be between Leucocoprinus and Leucoagaricus? I assume Coprinus, I always think of an inky cap, one that, turns to ink, even though it's got the Leuco in front of it.
I
What
thought
is Coprinus
Leucoprinus were
actually?
these small, fragile entities.
Yeah, like I didn't include any of the ones that, the fragile ones that only last a couple of hours. And of course, next week we're doing backyard fungus. I didn't want to cross into the lawn. I tried to stay on wood chips and mulch.
Yeah, I have a question. Has anyone ever found gallerinas growing in mulch, or they're all like tree trunks exclusively? Can they grow in mulch?
Rarely in mulch, and probably from larger pieces of wood that are buried.
Okay. So my question is, if you're growing your Stropharia rugosa annulata on mulch that also supports that toxic mushroom, are there any problems with these things overlapping on the same substrate?
Well, that could
Name?
happen. Spore print will tell you, and morphology will tell you.
No, I'm just saying, is there any kind of cross contamination? So you're eating your rugosa annulata that's contaminated either with the spores or the mycelium from that other toxic species, from the
I've
Gallerina.
never seen them together. But anyway,
Okay.
Chris was going to say something. I'm going
Yeah.
to put.
No, I was just wondering, literally what kind of cross contamination. I mean, like the rugosa would pick up somehow on some part of the Gallerina.
Yeah, I mean, typically all these toxins they stay within the mushrooms. They're not like leaching out anywhere, and But I know for a fact that, for instance, in Amanita, all these deadly poisonous section Phalloidea amanitas, even spores contain amatoxins. So I'm wondering if you happen to grow a Gallerina next to your rugosa annulata, unknowingly so, and then the spores blow over. Is that enough to cause any problems for people?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I've just never heard of that being suggested with any mushrooms.
Well,
I mean, it sounds like crazy, but it's conceivable that might
Yeah.
happen.
No,
it is an interesting concept because I once found Gallerina growing up against a lion's mane, Hericium erinaceus. I mean, pressed into the fruit body of Hericium erinaceus. And I let it go. I mean,
Yeah.
just didn't want to risk it. But I've always
Sure.
kind of wondered that same thing.
I think you did the right thing. I would not eat that thing either. It's
like
just
what's weird is with like plants and all, like you can get there's a ton of different articles on like how certain plants will pick up, some sort of, heavy metal or something.
well,
And like
mushrooms do the same
really
thing.
and right, mushrooms do the same thing, but like I just like there's even this stuff that infects deer, this like chronic wasting disease, right? Which is caused by a protein which easily gets picked up by a plant. Like the plant can like take that protein into its tissue, and then the deer could eat the plant and then get the thing. I've just never heard of that happening at all with mushrooms. Like, not that it doesn't exist. I've just never heard of it.
Right. I mean, so conceivably you can think like, say, these gallerinas, they wither and die away. They just dissolve, they decompose. But that toxic molecule, that toxic, cycloprotein, conceivably can stay in the ground and can get absorbed by, mycelium of other fungi. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's almost like, like a very crazy situation, that unimaginable almost. Like, yeah, I mean, who can dream of that happening?
That's an interesting question. I gotta tell
But
you.
yeah, so my point is, if mushrooms can pick up, inorganic nutrients from the ground, can they also pick up larger molecules from the substrate just by osmosis or something? one thing you're absorbing like an inorganic salt, strontium, whatever, from the environment, or lead, or arsenic, and another thing you're picking up a very bulky, large protein-like molecule. It's kind of different dynamic there.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because like mushrooms have that, their mycelium is more like exudate based. They're digesting on the way outside of it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have all these enzymes that they throw into the substrate, and the digestion happens outside. They just happen to absorb all these broken down nutrients readily. So yeah, I mean, probably unlikely event, with that amatoxin, but some kind of contamination, with the spores or that tissue, I think, is more of a risk. Still, probably unlikely.
Yeah, I think there was I can remember one time I have found what I identified as Gallerana marginata in wood chips, and it was probably because there was there was like an old stump buried there or something. So it seems rather unlikely, but not out of the question. So it's an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah, something to think about and be careful with, just in case. You never know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other highly toxic mushrooms that would be likely found in wood chips or mulch, and nothing is coming to mind. Maybe somebody. I know those Leucocoprinus, that you're not supposed to eat those. I know that, especially the yellow one, that that like greenish yellow one. That one supposedly is toxic.
Birnbaumii?
Yeah, that one supposedly is toxic. That it's known to be toxic. So other than that, nothing's coming to mind.
And none of the Gracibes that you know of are poisonous, right?
No, my understanding is none of them taste good.
Isn't Conocybe pretty?
Oh, yes, Conocybe. Well, now it's full. Conocybe, yeah, some of the Conocybes are bad, but I think the really bad ones have been transferred to Phallus rugosa. That's a good example. That one can be found in mulch or wood chips, and it is deadly poisonous. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think of that one.
Does it have the same kind of toxin as Amanita?
I'm not sure. I think it might. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, but they've changed the name on us. Hilarious.
Yeah, it's the new genus is Phallus, and I think rugosa is the current. Now, there's probably more than one of these species also, but I think rugosa is probably the most common one. Mushroom Expert does not tell you if something's poisonous or edible. They stay away from that. Wikipedia will tell you.
And look at that thing. It has a ring, so it looks a little bit like Gallerina marginata.
A little bit. It's thinner. It's got a thin stipe. It's just a smaller mushroom altogether, and the ring is really kind of persistent and makes this nice round membrane like you see here in these photos. The spores are color is similar as well. They're rusty brown on both, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The spores are going to look different, I'm pretty sure. So the Mushroom Expert will show you what the spores look like for Phallus rugosa. I know what they look like for Gallerina marginata because I look at those. I don't find this species very often. These Conocybe and there's a bunch of other Conocybes as well, but I'm not sure if those are considered to be toxic.
Well, I thought that Apala was toxic, but I couldn't find any confirmation online that it was.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's more of a lawn mushroom.
Right. Yeah, it looks completely different. It doesn't look
Yeah.
anything like Phallus rugosa.
No, it's this is one transfer that I really like because these Foliotinus don't look like Conocybe.
Right.
They look
Yes.
like they should be in some other genus, and they are now.
Yeah, Doug has sent me an article earlier today that from California, and there was mulch, and they seem to indicate that the death cap was found in mulch, at least in California.
Yeah,
It was
probably because
growing
there's
through
trees
mulch.
nearby.
Yeah. It was just growing through a layer of mulch, but it is mycorrhizal, so it gives you a false impression that it grows on mulch.
Yeah,
I also
I
heard,
found quartz in mulch also, but because there were trees nearby.
yeah, there's been like quite a few poisonings with the death cap, I think, in California. Deaths and numerous liver transplants.
Yeah, because one of the leading causes for that is there's a lot of Asian immigrants who come to California, and they mistake Amanita phalloides for that Valvariella species, the straw mushroom. That's not. It doesn't even occur in North America in the wild. The spore color is totally different, but the mushrooms look somewhat the same.
And they probably don't have phalloides there then, huh? So
I
they
believe that that's part of the problem is they're coming from places where they don't have phalloides. Yeah. Mhm.
and then one more
Yeah, the article in the California says they pretty much demand that they're demanding that all trees be mulched in place, which is causing all these things to grow in mulch. Because yeah, obviously they're associated with trees, but they instead of transporting them to the wood away, it's being left in place. So new regulations. Okay. You were saying, Brandon?
yeah, it is tubaria poisonous or toxic or
I,
just inedible?
Tubaria is considered to be non-toxic, is my understanding. It is a complex. Tubaria furfuracea is a complex,
Sure.
but none of them are known to be poisonous. And then there are these other Tubarias,
Mhm.
Confrigosa, I think is one of them. And there's these oddball species of Tubaria that don't even look like Tubaria furfuracea. There's a few of those. I don't know of any that are known to be toxic. I never tried eating Tubaria because they look
Oh
like
yeah,
Galerina.
yeah.
So it's just
Or
bothersome.
depending on their stage of development, they could look like a canossipy too. Sometimes some of the
Um,
orange ones.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Tubaria furfuracea has no. It doesn't. It usually doesn't form a ring. Sometimes you get a little ring zone from a fleeting partial veil. Um, and speaking of rings or no rings, this Agrasibe putaminum is distinguished by the lack of partial veil. Now, the one mushroom there in the upper center looks like it has a ring on the stalk, but I believe that that's just some material on the stalk that's tearing apart because these were starting to dry out in situ a little bit. That's not an unusual thing, but you can see on the rest of them, there's really you can't see any rings. Um, so yeah, that's just see that's just material like tearing off of the stipe. Yeah, so these I found these a few feet away from those yellow capped Stropharia rugosa annulata that Sue showed a little while ago. They were in the same place in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I used to walk by this mulched and wood chipped ornamental area um, on the College of King's on the campus of King's College. It's right in downtown Wilkes-Barre. So, and I think I have found this Agraspe putaminum a few other times as well in mulch and wood chips in May, during
And
May.
we determined it was a grosbeak because of the spore print color, or
Yeah, it's got the sort of dark brown spore, the cigar brown spores. Agrospi spores are pretty big, usually at least 9 microns, usually bigger than that, and I think most of them are um, truncate. I'm not sure. Is there a picture of spores here in this? I may have
No,
got
there's
spores
only had the
from this.
one photo.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I had maybe one or two other observations of this
Let's see
where
if we got.
I think maybe I don't know. I probably got spores from these at least once. I should have got spores from these. I should look. I might have a photo that I didn't post. Um, yeah, I think this species is more common out west because I think it was somebody from out west who actually identified it for me the first time. Yeah, you see, there's a lot of like California and France, Oregon. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that my ID on that is correct. We know what? There's another name that was bounced around, Sororia, Agrossobe sororia. That one, I believe, was also proposed for at least one of my things that I initially identified as putaminum. So I think there's another putaminum observation here in this bunch of mine from a different area. I just saw it go by. I think it's on the right. It's not this one.
This. I haven't seen anything in our area yet here.
Yeah, I
We
guess a
should go to the
different
map.
page, I guess. Well, whatever, if there's no spores to see, we can live with that. But I'm pretty sure the spores are probably like, I'm gonna guess 10, 11 microns, ellipsoid, and I think they're probably truncate, or at least with a germ pore. Oh,
What
okay.
about this name? So
Yeah.
Sonoria?
Yeah, it's a small germ pore, so it's not, I wouldn't call that truncate really, but there is a germ pore there.
Anything else you want to say, Dave, before we go on? I think Jason has some to share.
Um, no, that's enough. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Jason, you want to share from your screen?
Yeah, can you hear me? All right, there we
Yes.
go. So let's see. So I've never tried this before, but this is just a homepage of iNaturalist. Um, if you search for just fungi, um, I have it set so that it's automatically restricts to New Jersey, but I can expand the search criteria a little bit larger. And then you click on filter, you've got this field here for description and tags. So if you put mulch in here, it restricts it to anything that mentions the word mulch in the description of the INET observation. And you can see here's that same species. This is the top, by far, the top observation for mushrooms that mention mulch in the description. I can further restrict this to research grade, but all of these species, if I click on any of these, it should, if I just click on any random record, it should have the word mulch in the notes field. So it's kind of a nifty way to kind of filter on INET, and kind of um, is one of the reasons why putting notes on your observation is helpful, even when it's obvious that an observation is in mulch. Just putting that word in the
The picture
notes
actually
allows
has
you
mulch in
to.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that because I've never actually tried using this description or tag field before, and I didn't realize it picked up from that notes field. So I thought that was kind of nifty.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
I tried using it recently. Jason, do you know if it only pulls from the notes field or possibly from the comments as well?
So there's one I tried this for next week because next week is like backyards. So I tried lawn, and I was looking at some of the records, and I saw there was this chicken of the woods here. So I clicked on it, and it doesn't have any notes, but the observation is from a town called Fairlawn. So I think that's where, and it happens to be in a lawn in the photo.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm guessing the lawn criteria is getting picked up from the town name here. So yeah, I think it can be beyond the notes section. There's nothing down here in the comments that mention anything about lawn. So
Cool.
Don't they have nice species descriptions too, built in? We click on the actual species name.
yeah, if we click on it, I think it pulls from Wikipedia, I think.
Okay.
So it depends on whatever's on Wikipedia, but
I'm just wondering if it would search there for the mulch, which
yeah, I don't know. No, because
We're on lawn.
we're searching observations, not species. So, these records here, for observations, there's a lot more Conocybe apala, but only 4 of them mention lawn
okay.
in the record. So it's not searching anything that has to do with the species profile. It's the observations themselves. But yeah, so if we go back to mulch, just look at New Jersey, we can just look at the species and see if there's anything on here that looks new. A lot of these are things that we've already mentioned tonight, but this is an interesting species that Maricel found on mulch. You can look at this one. Not the best photo, but it looks like a pretty interesting little guy that would be worth keeping an eye out for.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good photo.
Yeah.
Does Maricel's observation of this have micro?
No, it's just one photo.
But she's found it. She has more than one observations for that.
Yeah, well, let's see. So these others here don't have mulch in the notes, I'm guessing, on rotten oak. So it looks like it could also grow on larger logs, but still no micro.
Yeah, and that's a good note about many wood saprophytic fungi. A lot of them can exist on mulch, but not be mulch associates, right? They can just happen to be there.
Right. Like here's an amanita. This is probably found in pine needle litter on mulch.
Yeah, and that's probably just associating with the tree, right?
Right. The mulch is on the mushroom. The mushroom is not on the mulch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to share.
I see that Geronimus strombodes, that one we haven't mentioned. That is found on all sorts of wood, but often on mulch or wood chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one is indiscriminate. It grows in abundance on whatever wood it can find, I think. But yeah, often in mulch.
What's weird is I got this last end of this last winter. I got like a dump truck full of wood chips. So I've been getting a ton of different stuff that is growing near the wood chips, I think for the moisture reasons. But then probably this year, I'll probably get a bunch of the stuff that's actually eating the wood chips. So this past year, I got all along areas where there was a ton of it. Uh, I got all kinds of stuff that I just didn't think was actually eating the chips. Probably just because, there's a nice bunch of moisture there. So like that what grows on the chips and what doesn't grow on the chips is like, it's, I suppose, always a bit of a debate.
Still hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sue.
Okay. Everybody else seems to have dropped off. Um, so Brandon, you mentioned one more in the chat. This Colubiopsis luxurians.
Yeah, I was just about to shoot an email over to you of an observation of mine.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, this thing, I think I've only ever found on wood chips. I'm sure it can exist. Like there's at least one reported in the lawn. Uh,
I found it on my lawn. I found it once on my lawn. There were a bunch of them, but it was only one time. There's probably a piece of wood buried.
yeah, would you say most often you find it on wood chips though?
Yes. Wood chips, mulch. Yep.
You can tell with these
Oh,
pictures,
I'm
almost
sorry.
everything
I
is
thought of
mulch.
it another time I found it on a lawn. Yeah, there was another time I found it on a lawn, a different lawn. I just remembered.
And I've also found this in the woods, uh, just on woody debris.
I assume this is a non-edible.
It's bitter, is my understanding. I think I may have nibbled it once.
What's the luxurious part?
Yeah, I was like I
Who
said,
knows?
I was just about to send in an observation of mine and a bird's nest that I did micro on. Um,
Oh, that's good.
but
See my
the cap is it's very luxurious. It's got this texture to it. I think. Is that where the name comes from, Dave? Do you know?
No, I honestly don't know. I've never really looked into, but it does look kind of, kind of undulates, they can be kind of wavy and shiny. So I don't know. Luxurious.
Well, I think they're called luxury caps. If you want to,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever the common name on INET, whatever weight that holds. But
Well, it's because of the species name is luxurians, and so I think they're just translating directly from the Latin is what I would guess. Um, and this species has gone through, oh boy, I don't know how many different genera: Colibium, um, Gymnopus, Marasmiellus, Colibiopsis. I think that's the progression over the last 25 years.
even Maricel hasn't done the microscope on that. Just doing the pictures.
Yeah, it's easy. It's pretty easy to identify. Let me get this email sent over to you with a couple observations.
Okay.
I'm sure we have other emails, right?
No, no one has been contributing other than, well, Dave has some regular observations, not most ones. He gave us the one Lutea form.
I'll
Oh,
send you a
no.
couple, Sue.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
just put this one in the chat then.
Chat.
Copy. So I just put the Calibiopsis in the chat. All right, let me get back over there. Yeah, and you can see in the first photo they're growing in mulch, right? And if you zoom in on the cap, that's probably, I think, the most luxurious part about the mushroom. It's got this kind of like, it's not tomentose, but it's got a handsome, shiny, kind of streaked thing going on. And here's a good shot of, so this is still mulch, but it's overgrown mulch. So I think a lot of, maybe some of the things that Dave found and on Chris's note, the things that are coming up in and around the mulch, um, maybe that's the same thing happening there, or buried wood. But they can get pretty big. Maybe zoom in on that the cap on the second to last photo to get a good idea of what it looks like.
This one doesn't look as hairy as the first one.
Yeah, as they get older, they kind of lose that, and it gets matted down or weathered. And this is growing in overgrown mulch, so it's that cap has been pressed up against so many things, and look at how irregular it is, right? Really wavy, kind of trumpeted on one side, as you can see in the next photo.
I got out my Latin book here. Luxuries, luxuro, or luxurious. Uh, Popular in all of the different things are a note of being abundant in growth. So that might be the luxurious part.
Cool. That's a good note.
That sounds right. Yeah, you
Yeah,
never find like hardly ever you find one or two of these. There's almost always a bunch of them.
right. Yep.
You're going to send me another one in an email, Brandon?
I can. I'll. You want me to send you an email that bird's nest?
Sure. And then we'll go on to Lila is the last one who's got something sent in.
All right, let's go to Lila's, and I'll just put mine in the chat after her.
Okay. All right. Well, she's got a bird's nest. The white eggs, so we know what that is. Lila, did you want to talk about yours?
Um, not really, just that they were growing in mulch. I think if you open the window bigger, you can see my notes maybe. Oh, no notes on this one. Okay. The white eggs you mentioned, that's a key thing, the fact that the inside of it is smooth inside of the quote nest. And if you find one, you'll find dozens of these things.
I didn't really look up each one since this is usually always in hardwood.
Uh, I don't know. I think so. My mulch that they were in was hardwood mulch, so
Okay.
I see these, or it might be some of the other bird's nest fungi, because sometimes I see them and don't get out of my car to pick them. But I'll see sometimes like 100 of these bird's nest fungi growing on ornamental mulch. If I'm waiting to cash a check in a drive-through at a bank, more than once I've noticed that, more than one different bank.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this
re- regardless of business, yeah, these are not this species in particular. I mean, just bird's nest fungi in general. You see them, they're all over the mulch. They take over the mulch, really.
Yep, there's a ton of them. I like this particular photo because it shows, three kind of stages. Lower
Are
right.
these the eggs that actually came out?
Yeah, yeah, they've been splashed out. You can see some liquid in the cup there in the nest. So some of those peridioles have splashed out. The other
And do you
ones,
think these are the threads that are attached to them when they spread out?
yeah, I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
no, but you can see them in the more mature one
This one?
as you approach the center there, radiating out
Yeah.
towards. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, those other things are probably spider webs or something.
Okay.
And then the immature one on the lower right, still covered over.
Yeah, with the cat.
Yeah.
and did we kind of talk about the way, Lila, you just kind of touched on it, the way these disperse the spores when we were talking about them during the
No, I
presentation?
didn't do the background because there's whole books are on this, and that, yeah, it is something we should probably talk about. There's films on it and everything showing it coming out. Yeah, these get splashed out. The Tillary fungus goes, I think, up to 20 feet away. I forget how many feet the bird's nests were able to fly out. But that's the difference between the artillery. The artillery one actually, when it fills up and gets enough water into their peridioles or whatever they call them in the artillery fungus, they shoot out. Where this gets splashed out, as far as I know. Um,
Yeah, and then they're kind of sticky. Those threads are sticky and they'll stick to things. So they're pretty cool. I didn't notice these ever in my life until I got interested in fungi with the club. I had no idea they even existed. They were just, and then you see them, once you notice them, you see them everywhere, like Brandon was saying.
And you're not going to see them right now with the snow on the ground, but they're there in the winter too. I mean, they they get a little bit of moisture, a little bit of warm temperature, and they'll fruit all year long.
The second one from Lila is the striated one. Again, the striations are inside the cup and the gray eggs instead of white. There's only two, only the two pictures.
And there
Okay,
should be three.
there was three, but then go this way. Not getting the arrow. There's the arrow.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. The outside always seems to throw me because it seems to vary so much with this hairiness.
Yeah, I think you need to pay attention to the inside and the color of the eggs and whether there's striations or not. I don't know how many different species there are.
There,
These probably,
there are a
probably,
lot. There are a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
I wanted to ask the the light colored peridioles, the whitish peridioles. So that locks in levy.
Yes.
Hmm, cool.
It's the only easy one. The other ones is like, well, how large are the eggs? I mean, to me,
Well,
the only the
how
four
many?
that
How
I
many?
know.
How many are there is important as well.
Okay.
Are there 5 to 7? Are there easily up to 13?
Oh, 13 I've never seen. Is that a particular species that you know?
I don't know the species, but I know that
Okay.
the number can get higher than 7.
Okay.
So those eggs in the nest are called peridioles, and then they're attached to that cord, and that cord is called a funiculus, which is a fun word.
But Bodniculus with an
Yeah,
F.
Funiculus.
F-U-N, yeah, funiculus, or a
It is.
funicular
It is
cord.
one word. Cool.
And this is the one I took for my presentation too, because Lila's was the prettiest that I saw.
Yeah, when these come up, there's usually a lot of them and they don't hang around very fast. I've noticed they're pretty delicate. But they're beautiful really if you look at them close.
But they last more than a few hours, right?
Yeah, maybe a day and a half or something. And then they're gone. Become a rotten mess.
This one I'm not familiar with. This is the parasol.
I think that's a some sort of Satyrella.
Is it? All right.
Parasolas have gills that turn cinnamon brown because the spores are cinnamon brown. This looks like it's going to have really um, dark spores.
Okay.
On
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I would
one?
say. Was this from early in the season?
I had some
Yeah.
from June and some from the fall.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of Sathyrellas. They can be hard to tell apart.
Yeah.
But I think that's what this is some kind of Sathyrella.
And this one in the fall was a singleton, which was different because the ones in this, June time frame are usually a lot of them. So this was
Yeah,
odd that it was a singleton.
just take a spore print.
Yeah.
And Conocybe are going to have like cinnamon colored spores, maybe rusty brown. But Sathyrellas, okay, most Sathyrellas have really dark purplish brownish spores, like almost like Hypholoma spores.
Yeah.
But there is one section or subspecies or subgenus or something in Sathyrella. The leading species being Conoicens, I think is the way you say it, that has pinkish or reddish spore print, depending upon how thick the print is, I guess.
Okay.
But most of them are. But you wouldn't confuse it with Conocybe because they have it's a different shade of Conocybe don't have like pinkish spores. They're really like brown, cinnamon brown sort of.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure they'll come up again. They were in my vegetable
Oh,
garden.
Parasola conopilia. Yeah, that's a pretty cool species. The spores are black, I think, or almost black, and the spores are big in this species, and that looks like it.
So this
That
one you
looks
think
like
is correct. Is the other one that you don't think so?
yeah. This one looks like Sathyrella. Look at the appendiculate material. I think there's some appendiculate material on the
Appendicular. You mean the
yeah, like
mycelium?
hanging. Now this one here, the not on this one. This looks like Parasola conopilia to me. But there's like a bunch of other things that look like this really.
Yeah.
There's Paneolus that look kind of like this, but Paneolus have really, really dark gills. So I don't know. Is it Parasola conopilia? Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong before. I thought it was said that this was Conocybe. It's not Conocybe. Could this be Parasola? Yeah, it could be. Yeah, okay, that could be. I would look at the spores. The Parasola conopyle is going to have really big spores, and most of the Satyrus have spores that aren't much beyond 10 microns long. But yeah, okay, that could be Parasola conopyle.
Okay, so
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misread. I saw the CON, and I guess it made me think Conocybe. Because they're not Conocybe, but they could
yeah.
be Parasola conopyle. That makes sense.
All right. Well, next year I'll look for some more and check out the
Me too.
spores.
Okay. All right, so that's it for Lila. She's got some more.
No, that's good enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm back in my Latin book again here on Jason's. What was the word?
Funiculus.
Funicula.
Funiculus.
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 All right, I found Funis. I think it's pronounced Funis because the U has a little accent deal over it. Funis. A rope, a cord, line of a ship's ropes. The rope of a rope dancer. So maybe it's pronounced Funiculus.
Well, if you have a
Funiculus.
dictionary, they talk to you now.
What?
The dictionaries talk to you. Just press the sound button and they'll tell you what it is.
Oh,
Funiculi.
wonder.
Funiculi.
Yes,
That's probably the plural.
All right, funiculus. Okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Sounds like a plural form.
So Brandon has one more of his bird's nest. Okay, this is all right. A lot of dark eggs.
Oh, yeah. So where did I find this? That's at a foray.
Clayton.
Scotland Run, probably. Yeah.
Well, it says Clayton. I don't know Clayton. Is Clayton from Scotland? Well, it's Glassboro.
The
Yeah.
ID card says Scott on it. So
Okay, that proves it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and click on the photo. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't found on wood chips or mulch, but it is, these birds' nests are ubiquitous with mulch and things like that. This one's reported from, it's the dung-loving one, but it's reported from all different types of substrates. Also could be found on mulch. And I think if memory serves, the really trumpeted, don't move on.
Okay.
If you want to zoom in on the photo, you can see the kind of trumpeted fruit bodies, the way that they, at the lip, they really curl out.
They have like a stipe.
Yeah. Yep. And this
It
was,
looks like the interior of the cup is like encrusted with.
yeah, has a little bit of a membrane going on there.
Yeah. What genus is this in? Is this
Cyathus.
Cyathus? Okay.
Yeah. And then if we want to look at the exterior of some of those cups, maybe not this photo is the not the best, because I focus on different things through different photographs. There's a good example of different stages of
Yeah.
growth. How that membrane kind of opens up and then falls in on itself.
Oh, I didn't realize it falls in. I just assumed it
Oh,
just.
that's the encrustation. Is
Yep,
that veil that just collapses on the inside? I see. That's
correct.
interesting.
Yeah, and as these things kind of pop out with rain, that we call it a veil for lack of a better. I'm sure there's a specific term for it with bird's nest fungi, um, but as those petioles pop out, that veil kind of sinks deeper and deeper and gets spread out. I'm pretty sure. Like on the one in the upper right, you can see there's not very much kind of scaling. It's really smooth, but it just opened up. It's almost covering those petioles. See how they're lighter color?
I see that. Yeah, the one in the upper right. Mhm. It's got like a little rim, um, like a veil, sort of part of a veil, like a rim there on the right.
Yeah. And then I think this is the only time I ever did micro on any of these, but I do remember quite well that I was really shocked that the spores, you're going to want to zoom in, are held within the peridioles. Like they are not produced on the outside via like, well, they are basidiomycetes. I don't think I have any pictures of the basidia, but the basidia presumably are on the interior of these eggs, the peridiole, um, and then that peridiole breaks apart ultimately, um, which makes sense for the kind of uh, strategy these things have, where the what are we calling it? What's the word for the
Funiculus.
funiculus? Thank you. That's sticky, right? So it's meant to stick to something and kind of persist for a while, find a new location, and then that peridiole breaks down eventually. So, you know,
I wonder
interesting
what
that they're on the inside and not the outside of the peridiole.
I wonder what the method of like stratification is. Is it some sort of like cold stratification where that like that's what breaks down that membrane or not? Or that's a
Yeah,
whole rabbit hole, I'm sure.
I assume so, but yeah, that was just kind of surprising to me. I figured the basidia would be on the outside of these things. Makes the most sense, right? But no, they're on the inside, and they're big. And that would see all their the measurement of the spores were is in support of this particular species.
I don't think Brody's book ever talked really about the microscopic parts of it.
Now I want to find a basidia on one of these things somehow.
Yeah, I I tried. You can see on that cross section from the last photo, I got a pretty good cross section of one of the peridioles. Um, but trying to do a smash mount, that's at 100x. So, you know, getting that at 400 would just be messy because there's too much of that hard peridiole in there. So I got a lot of that kind of casing out of the
Is
way before I went on to the 400x.
is this furriness on the outside?
No, that's just hyphae. And I think the last photo shows that hyphae uh, with the
Like
clamp
as it
connection.
broke apart?
Yeah, yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, not very exciting looking spores, but they're very big. Uh, just big dino eggs with big, uh, thick wall. Yeah, and if you can zoom here, kind of dead center of the photo, you can see that clamp connection.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I just read here on Wikipedia that it is thought that the spore dispersal is caused by birds who eat the peridioles and then excrete the spores.
Well, that would kind of make sense, right? With the harder outer casing.
Herbivores. Yeah, the spores are thought to be ingested by herbivores that grow and grow in their droppings to continue the life cycle. Yes, that's what it says in Wikipedia.
For the dung-loving one, right? Which is
it looks like it's just saying that in general for the Nidulariaceae, which encompasses on Wikipedia here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 genera. Crucibulum, Cyathus, which we've discussed. Mycocalia, which I do not know. Nidula, and I'm not sure I'm familiar with that. Nidularia, which I believe I have found. But it just says in general for all of them.
I can't say I've ever seen birds eating them at all.
Okay, not birds, herbivores. So other sorts of things. I guess like insects and things. Really, it's not birds. I was wrong. I misspoke there. Not birds.
I would think that if they're so abundant, I would see something eating them during the day. I don't see anything ever.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the
You mean once they have escaped from the little nests, right?
Yeah, they
Out in the
stick
strands.
to weeds and things, I guess, and
Yeah.
grass, and then they're
Yeah, okay,
that's
that
when
would
they eat.
explain that. Then the deer would eat it because they don't know it's even there. They just the net
Yeah,
going
like a
fly.
deer, for instance. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I misspoke when I said bird. Yeah, deer, insect. Deer makes sense. Rabbits.
Maybe
Probably
chipmunks.
probably most likely rodents and mice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did anybody see that presentation about what kind of rodents were eating, or what kind of animals were eating mushrooms? There was a study done, and it's like overwhelmingly it's mice. it's overwhelmingly mice.
They certainly outnumber all the other mammals we have around.
Yeah, I have been told by a biologist that mice are the major vector for the spread of ticks, which I thought it would be deer, because deer presumably cover more ground. But the biologist told me that there's just so many mice that an individual mouse doesn't have to move very far during its lifetime. There's just so many of them that the ticks spread. The mice are like a corridor for the spread of the ticks.
So we have them to blame.
Well, deer is the final host for the black-legged tick that I know for a fact. It has to be. But ticks go through 2 additional stages of development, and small mammals like mice and squirrels serve as hosts for larvae and nymphs. And the adult one.
And
that's what the biologist told me. And he was a PhD, biologist working in a university. Um, and he was quite adamant because didn't believe it at first that it wasn't, that the deer are not the main vector for the spread of the ticks, and he was quite adamant that it was the mice.
Well, maybe for other ticks, but for the black-legged tick, deer is the final host, preferably. But when eggs hatch, these things stay in the duff. They don't climb high. The larva. So obviously their primary hosts are probably mice, which just rummage through the detritus and pine needles and whatnot on the ground. So yeah, they're ubiquitous, they're prevalent, and I guess larvae survive on the mice primarily. I mean, maybe that's why they're the largest vector, because they sustain the most fragile stage of development of a tick.
Yeah,
If you remove the mice,
that seems to make sense.
yeah, if you remove the mice, the mortality of larvae is going to be significant.
And
Anybody else? Go ahead.
does
I do.
anyone does my anecdote about the mice and the animals that are actually consuming fungi, does that ring with anyone else? I thought that might have been a lecture that maybe we had access to, or maybe that was a different club. I definitely saw a lecture on that.
I don't remember that being like a main topic of one, but I've heard other people talk about that because there's chipmunks that eat a bunch of truffles.
Yeah, it was a whole breakdown, and I think it was a specific study. A well documented scientific study, and they had it broken down to the different species of mice. There were chipmunks in there as well. I don't know.
Did you find this talk? I'm interested in it.
Yeah, I have to find this out because I know I saw this lecture.
Todd Elliott created a lecture for us, which we never released because we could never get a date together. But he has studied fungi in animals, and he did this study. But I don't know if it's the same one that you're talking about. But he may have made the circuits of nymph and other offerings.
I mean, I would say that if it's not mice, it would be deer in terms of like the larger consumer of fungi, and it probably depends on there's such a dramatic difference in the density of deer based on where you are in New Jersey. It's probably true of mice as well, but in more agricultural areas, especially North Jersey, Hunterdon County, Somerset, you're going to have tons and tons of deer. So it take a lot for mice to be a larger consumer than deer in those areas. Mice, I think.
Right. And this study, now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been done maybe in the rainforest. Gosh, I got to figure this out.
Yeah. I think mice, rodent populations are, I think I read somewhere that, they're largely dependent on predators, and, the main predators are large birds of prey, owls and hawks and eagles and things, which, when you start getting closer to urban areas, the size of the forest patch is not large enough to sustain those large birds of prey. So that's where the mouse population starts to get larger because there are fewer predators. But so it's probably a pretty complicated question, and probably not. Probably depend. It varies based on where you are.
So there's a number of things from Todd Elliott on the animal fungi. So there's a NAMA one. I don't know if that's available or not. You can look up him and look at those things. I don't know if that's till you think of something else to give us a go on, which one you're remembering, Brandon. This is the only one I'm familiar with, is his studies.
Cool. Thanks, Sue. I'm gonna look into those.
Yeah, actually, I think maybe it might have been one of his.
He's all over the board. Let's see, this is a PDF. That's two. Doesn't sound very interesting to me, but okay. I'm sure he has other ones. But yeah, that's the one he did for the Fungi magazine for NAMA. Okay. All right, so we're ready to move on. And Chris, you said you have something to share. Is that a mulch one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop share.
Go. All right, first, this little guy was found at a foray. I think it was the one, what did it say, August 24th. It might have been the up at Stokes, I think, maybe. But I don't know if he was eating mushrooms, but he was certainly running around where I was looking for them.
I'd bet money he has eaten mushrooms recently.
So
Neat photo.
yeah, they're out there running around. Oh no. There we go. See, it reset. Oh, I had it out here. I like finding them in the mulch. Oh, I messed up. Oh, there it is. Pezizas. I just like finding them. They're always predictably in my places that I mulch. This is a little flower bed right in the middle of my yard. And there's always a bunch of stuff I toss there, a little
Your mulch
lawn.
hardwood?
It's been hardwood there. There's a bunch of like grass clippings there now, like dead flower stuff. But there's been, sometimes it's mulched good, and then this is like a more broken down time. Yeah, you could see some in that one, but they're all over the place in the yard.
Is this the same as the others that we're looking at? Because this looks like Phallus
Yeah,
but the
no,
others look like Peziza varia.
I'm pretty sure these are all the same.
Okay.
They're all found within like inches of each other, really.
I see those two species growing in this sometimes in the same areas, the same like mulch beds. But yeah, that's probably the same. You can tell from the spores though. The Phallus has ornamented spores with knobs, a knob on each pole, and the Peziza varia has really nice smooth spores. The field guides will tell you the spores are ornamented for varia, but it's so slight you can't see it. maybe with an electron microscope. So those are in the ascus, so it's a little hard to tell.
Yeah, these are pretty smooth, I think.
Yeah, it's probably Peziza varia. Yeah, those look like Peziza varia spores.
Chris, what is the magnification we're working with, say on this one right here?
This is probably 100.
Yeah, those asci are huge then.
This is probably the 400 right here.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm also the way my setup is, I'm like way zoomed in. It probably doesn't seem normal.
Without a
Well,
reticle, we can't really
Yeah.
say.
Like
Yeah.
it's probably at 100, but then like because my phone is on my little gimbal, I could zoom in like real crazy. Like that's probably 400, but that's where the bottom of one of the ascus meets the
well,
the
that was
cup.
one of the things. That was one of the things I was looking at is they all have a crook little foot, little crook foot.
Yeah, it's weird. They do all seem to have that same, little wrinkliness down there where they kind of just turn and go weird. But yeah, I don't know. I have I see them every year. Like it's weird. It's I know like
Well,
the I could tell like how good the ground is for my garden and like how moist it all is. I'm like, oh, those are popping up. Like it's good there.
and can anyone back me up? We can call that Peziza proper, right? Dave, you were
Yeah, I think they're Peziza varia.
yeah. As if you want to upgrade that from, I think I saw you just have it as Pezizaceae.
Yeah,
It's Peziza,
I
probably
think
better.
so.
the edit on that one. Yeah, this year, as far as the wood chips are concerned, I'm excited now that I have some that are like it's been a full year, so I'm gonna have some interesting stuff going on in the yard this year.
Anything interesting? Have you done any spawning of stuff in there?
No, I actually I was trying to hold off a little while. I'm gonna buy a couple of things this year, and uh I'm gonna I have a couple garbage cans that I just got that I'm gonna load up a bunch of wood chips in and like just soak them and uh let them go anaerobic for a little while, and then I was gonna get some wine caps, and I see people doing like oysters just in their wood chips, just tossing them out there, and they seem to respond pretty well.
Yep, oysters are one they don't care. If there's you know healthy dead healthy wood, uninfected wood, they will grow on anything. You can just put some sawdust underneath some wood chips, put some liquid culture over that, and they'll fruit. Maybe not this year, but eventually they will.
But I had one growing on a stump of a lilac, and I cut the chunk of a stump and tried to bury that and tried to just tried to just move it a bit, but it didn't work out.
And I'm sure we can share a lot of failed experiments on mushroom musings as we start that up later again this year for cultivation. If there's
Yeah, that
no
was fun. That
more,
was all starting to get a good turnout.
yep. Hopefully we'll start it again, especially since the people get so many more interesting topics to think of to talk about, because this fungi is so widespread and everybody has different interests. I see Brandon has put an article into the chat which talks about using rodents to spread fungi. Um, There's nothing else. Dave, do you want to shall I show you the rest of yours that you have submitted for tonight?
Well, it's the directions for on the email were to share observations from either presently or from another year during the same time of year. I mean, these are things I may have shown in the past. If you want to look
Oh,
at
I
them,
don't
though,
remember
they are
last year's stuff.
yeah. Like this is 2 years ago. Last year, I didn't find anything in February. And I
Okay.
looked today too. I thought I might be able to find some lichens today. I went out cross country skiing in an area where I have found lichens in the winter, but I didn't see anything. So nothing on wood, at least. I mean, everything's covered in snow. There's still a lot of snow here. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can look. We can go quickly through them probably.
Before we do that, can I show one of mine? I only have one observation of
Oh yes,
it's
certainly.
growing on chips, and
Yes.
that's an interesting species because I could not
You
idea.
want to put it in the chat?
I can share my screen because this is on the
Okay.
mount.
Let me stop share. Go ahead.
All right. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes? No? Maybe?
Yep.
Who cares?
Now I see it.
I think
Okay.
that might be Leucoagaricus americanus or
This
whatever.
is this is this is not this is probably Leucoagaricus, but this is not americanus, and I can tell you why. So this was growing on a huge pile of wood chips at the Washington Crossing State Park because that park had used to have a lot of ash, and all of them are kaput, and they've been wood chipping them for years. And in one location of the park on the periphery near a road, a paved road, there's like mountains and mountains of wood chip piles that are probably like 10 feet tall or something like that, maybe even taller. So one year, that was back in 2018, in mid-September, I found this interesting cluster of fruiting bodies, and they do look like americanus from the top, but when you look closer, you'll find out that they don't have rings and they don't stain red. So
They don't have the onion stalk.
yeah, don't have the onion stalk. And look at the surface of the stalk. It's scruffy. It's scruffy like in Hemilexinum almost. So no ring, and I checked all these fruiting bodies, no ring, and they have all this scruffiness. And of course, you have the free gills, so you know you're fishing in the correct sort of genus, Leucoagaricus or Macropsalliota or something like that. But this is the only year I've seen them growing on the wood chips, because the wood chip piles are still there. They probably get smaller as people come in and they take them away, because I think somebody, has been removing them because they're not as plentiful or not as tall as they used to be, the mountains of wood chips. So I don't know if anybody have any ideas of what this can be in terms of a species, but they're very attractive. The pigmentation on the cap and the cap margins, you can see, are straight. On the mature ones, at least, they have the central knob, which retains, unbroken pigment. And then basically the pigmentation gets fractured as the caps expand very gradually. So it's a very kind of a pleasing looking ornamentation, at least to my eye. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this thing. But no rings. I checked multiple fruiting bodies, and they all lacked a ring, an annulus.
Yeah, I'm having trouble accessing Myco Quebec. But I'm pretty sure they have a good, maybe 10 species of Leucoagaricus.
I'll look in there, sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a saprobe, so you would imagine that's probably widespread, and maybe this is something from across the pond, so to speak. But yeah. All right, so I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
sharing
The
unless
lack of
I.
it, the lack of an annulus is surprising.
Yeah,
I think.
there were large clusters. If this is not only cluster, I just happened to photograph the one that was more photogenic, but there was a huge outcropping of these things on these mounds of um, wood chips from dead ash trees, and maybe some of the other trees. I've seen like they transported humongous um, trunks of chopped up maple. I mean, they were like over a yard across. I mean, they were huge. I've never seen trees that big.
Well, I just took a break. I'm back. But this genus Leucoagaricus seems to be worthy of study. I've sent some Leucoagaricus to Steve Russell that he has sequenced and got some, fairly interesting results. So there's probably a number of species out there that are either rare or maybe not even documented yet. So
yeah, and unfortunately, I didn't collect the specimen. For some reason I thought that I don't know, maybe I just had too many mushrooms to process, and I just photographed these and walked away. But I don't have a specimen, because if I did, I would have had the record updated with the Fungarium record. Like I said, 7 years ago, and I keep coming back to those piles just to see if there's anything growing in there, and there's usually nothing, and these guys never showed up again. So
yeah, it's probably some species that requires wood to be dead for a certain period, amount of time, or maybe you were saying they're really big piles, maybe a certain concentration, or maybe the internal temperature in the pile of wood gets to be a certain level. Interesting, though. I don't think I've ever seen these.
yeah. And I don't tend to go there in September, because typically the mushrooms are kind of winding down, the mycorrhizal
Yeah.
ones. So
You know what? Later on, I'll send you an email with some links to some Leucoagaricus observations that I've made, and some of which were sequenced. But that's actually, that's a whole class. A class of mulch mushrooms are these Leucoagaricus. There's quite a number of species apparently, and with not many names that you hear very often.
yeah. I think I unshared, right? I did not even notice how I clicked on this. I think, am I still sharing this observation?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So, Dave, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, found 2 years ago in February while cross country skiing, the same place I was today, but I couldn't find anything like this. I looked some dead tree branches here and there, and so Lecanora was what was settled upon. And I think I got some help with this, and of course Karen looked at it. Do you want to look at this, Karen? This thing that was found at Splash Dam. It's got these little apothecia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I even tried to find some spores one time on one of the collections. Maybe it was this one. I'm not sure.
This was a couple of years ago. That we found
Yeah, there were 2 years in a row, I think, that we found this stuff. Well, at least the one time. There might actually be some micro with this. I forget.
Nothing, just the one picture.
No, that's because you're
Maybe
just
not. Maybe
looking
not.
at
I'm
the
in the
image.
image. Yeah. Yep. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, there is some micro. So apparently, I guess I thought I found some spores.
Moving.
You can click on any photo. You don't have to go through them.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Nothing's going.
Oh, oh, I see. Try the arrows on the photo. Go through them in sequence.
No,
You see
nothing.
the arrow on the right and the arrow on the left?
Yeah, I'm clicking on it. I'm clicking on it.
Oh, okay, there
Nothing's
you
moving.
go. Oh, it's nothing. Oh,
Did it
nothing's
move?
happened.
Didn't seem like it was
Oh, well.
moving.
Well,
See
it
if I just
doesn't look like your
switch over.
mouse is actually going onto the arrow. You just keep missing it.
No, I'm on the arrow.
Well, your arrow is all over the place, but not your
No
cursor,
matter what
your
I
mouse.
click on, nothing's moving.
I would
I'm not
go up
even
to
seeing
the
loading.
I would go up to the URL and just reload the page. Just go up to the URL and hit enter.
I did that. Okay. Maybe that'll move it. Yes. Okay. I just got confused. Okay. Getting bigger.
So I assume that what I'm looking at here are spores from the lichen. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a clear image. Is this in some sort of dye? Reddish.
Probably Congo red.
Congo
Yeah,
red,
it's
yeah.
It's in Congo red. Probably
So
diluted Congo red.
So when you're looking at lichens, usually pretty early on in the key, the color of the spores is significant. Either it's going to be brown or hyaline. So if you dye them,
Oh,
it can obscure that trait. I think Lecanoras are all supposed to be hyaline, have hyaline spores, not brown spores. And I agree. I think this is a Lecanora. Although Alophana, I'd be surprised if it was Alophana for the species. I just learned recently that Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Natural Heritage Program, Hannah Huber, has on their website a checklist of Pennsylvania fungi. And
she's working on updating the old list. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can download that spreadsheet and filter on lichens. It has 650 to 700 species of lichens on that Pennsylvania checklist. I'm looking at it right now. There's 19 Lecanora species recorded from Pennsylvania, and Alophana is not one of them. Doesn't mean that that's not what this is, but chances are, it's Alophana has been collected from Pennsylvania, but it's certainly not one of the most common species if it's not one of the 19 that are currently on the checklist.
Okay, thank you.
I'll put a link to that to the checklist in the chat.
Yeah, I actually have it, but put the link in so everybody can see it. Yeah, so I'm actually part of the team, the Pennsylvania Biological Survey Mycotechnical Committee, who works with Hannah. So I have that spreadsheet somewhere stored on my computer.
What else? We forgot. Sorry, just to interrupt because I forgot earlier. There is a slime mold remote class at Eagle Hill. I think it's like $240. It's 6 nights, 2 hours each. That you can check out if you want to sign up for that remote class. I signed up. I don't know if I'll make all the classes, but I'm going to try. And they are a mix of Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'll put the link to that in the chat too. I have that.
Yeah, I have that in here. Yeah. It's by Stevenson, who wrote the book on slimes. It's one of the reasons why it encouraged me to sign up.
So I collected some of this Kretsch Maria Diusta, took it home and studied it. And I'm pretty sure I ended up killing over 100-year-old shagbark hickory tree in my yard because I probably disposed of this stuff, probably just got thrown into a compost pile that's near the tree. The tree is dead now. So this was only 2 years ago I made this collection. The tree was okay up until the end of last winter, and then it died. But I did observe this fungus growing on the base of the hickory tree nearby where I had disposed of this material. So really large spores. I know they're like 35 microns long. It's one way you tell the species. But I've got to say, yeah, I don't recommend taking it home to study. So I didn't know about that it was such a terrible parasite at the time I made this collection. So this was not the one in. Oh, this was the one in my. Oh, this was up. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the fungus that was at the base of the. Does it say it's on the shagbark hickory? Yeah, this hickory died a year later. So this photo was taken of the fungus growing on the base of the hickory tree, and then the hickory tree only lasted a little over a year after this. Okay, so before this happened, I had brought home a sample of this stuff to study that I found that I collected in a forest on a different kind of tree, I think.
Dorothy had a similar experience many years ago. Ended up
She
killing the tree.
told me about it. It was already too late. She
Yeah.
told me about it. Mm-hmm.
Same stuff.
Yeah.
Same species. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure this is Tapenella panuloides. I think I probably smash mounted some gill and found a few spores. These were collected pretty late in February. It was, I guess, a warm winter 2 winters ago. It's hard to imagine there being such a thing as a warm winter this winter.
Dave,
About
what
not
kind of
having
wood?
snow.
What kind of wood was this on? Do you know?
I think it was an oak. I think it's in the notes, actually. It was like a big hardwood log, really hard wood. It was probably a hard oak. Yeah, I think this is the log there. I think that one is still on the log. That one in the upper right.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. They have like a central stipe. Doesn't Tapenella panuloides kind of have like a
Yeah, usually it does. Yeah, so
offset?
yep, yes, usually it does. And I did not post these on MO as ultimate confidence in the ID. So I think I've got it at promising.
I think you're right. If we can zoom in on the immature gills here, I think we can kind of see maybe some of that.
Yeah, I should try to get better photos of this. I mean, it wasn't like there were a whole lot of things to photograph on this
Mhm.
particular day. But yeah, you got those like wavy gills that almost look like something other than gills.
They're almost like not bulletinoid,
Yeah,
Marolio,
there's
Marolio,
Marilioi. Yeah, right. There's this other thing, something or other, Curticii. What's that thing, Curticii?
Tapanella.
Oh, that's a Tapanella also. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks a little like that, but those are, I forget what's different about those. I think the
See,
gills are even weirder on those.
and I could be wrong. I would have to look this up real quick. I think Curticii is a hardwood thing, and maybe Panioides is a conifer thing. Um, but
I don't know.
I could be wrong on that.
I
For
think
whatever
I think
reason,
this was on oak. I think. Does it
uh,
say in the notes? I
is
may have.
He said probably oak.
Yeah.
is Michael Quebec working for anyone else? It's not working for me.
By the way, this one in the upper right here, you can see now when you get a close up, that the stipe is not necessarily central. It's kind of lateral, and then the fruit body kind of turns down. Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to.
That's an org.
There's an org. Yes, an org. Yes, I'm just realizing my mistake.
Oh. Oh. Okay. I see. I see what's going on.
It's working for me too.
Go up to index. Click
I'm
on.
trying to get to
Oh,
English
I see
first.
what you're doing. You're just coming
Yeah, I'm trying to get to
across.
English, and the choice thing disappeared on me already. Doesn't give you much chance.
You might have to go to a
Anyway, I don't need it for
species.
index. Why would go into Latin?
Yeah, just go into the Latin and then right click on the text that you get and see if you can translate it. So this is
No.
Tapanella,
Well, I gotta find.
Panioides. You just need to scroll down.
Yeah, it's very hard to scroll here.
Yeah. Okay, now you're in the vicinity.
Only two of them. Do you want the Panoides?
Yeah, so the Curticii is some other, but you know what? You can do a search in Michael Quebec. You can just put in Curticii, but this looks kind of like what I had there,
Here?
except as Brandon said,
Yeah,
the
go
stipes are
down,
really quite
go,
lateral. What
go
does it say
down.
for the substrate? Oh,
Right, go
right
down
click on the text. Right click on the text, and then you should get there you go.
Yeah, but I liked it better on the top as opposed to using Google. Okay.
Ecology.
Conifers.
Okay. Yeah, that coniferous wood. And maybe that was not oak. Maybe it was pine
Tapanella.
or something. I thought it was pretty hard wood.
And this one is.
No,
Yeah,
it's not atratomentosa.
Yeah, they
That's
both
a
want.
great
No, I'm
big
just
thing that grows
checking to
on.
see if the other one was hardwood. They're both conifer, they said.
Yeah, okay. So just do a search here in this bar. Just erase Tapanella, get rid of Tapanella, and just put in Curticii. You're going to get a few different things that are called Curticii. But one of them is going to be the thing. Pseudomerilius. There it is. Pseudomerilius Curticii. Yeah, that's the thing I was trying to. I think that used to be Tapanella, maybe. I'm not sure. So
My neighborhood.
Pseudomerulius. Yeah, that looks a little bit like this Tapanella thing. There we go. Oh, no, that's mine.
Yeah, that's yours. That's yours. Yes,
Yeah.
yours doesn't. It doesn't look like it to me, but because this looks very much like Flavia to me when I see it in person.
Yeah,
Until you look at the
this
top.
is different. This is different. At least it seems to be different.
Yeah.
Not all that different though. The gills are a little weirder, I think.
Well,
Yeah, no,
when you look at this, it's actually connected like a shelf mushroom all the way. Yours is not sure how yours was connected. Yours looked more
There's a
like it
little
has a
bit of it.
pseudo
There's a
stipe.
little short stipe.
Yeah.
And on the one in the upper left, it is central. Yeah, that's quite central. Look at the one in the I'm sorry, upper left. Look at the one in the lower right, though. That's fairly lateral. The stipe. Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
but this
one in the
is
upper left is pretty central, so which is
yeah.
unusual.
I'm just saying from my experience in person, it doesn't look like anything like the same because this is very much a soft shelving thing like this. So
Yeah,
not
yeah,
particularly
you're right.
thin.
This looks like no stipe. What does it say in the description? Go down below hat.
Go beyond palate. Did you say hat?
Now
Oh, hat.
right below
Okay.
right below
Okay.
hat and right below blades, it might say something about a stipe. No, it doesn't say anything about a
I-
stipe. So these things have no stipe.
They have no
how about
stuff.
ecology?
Correct.
How about ecology? Because isn't
It
Deciduous or mixed forest.
grows on hemlock. This is a kind of
wait a
thing.
minute. This Curticii?
Yes,
That's in hardwood in my area.
It says here on rotten wood from deciduous or mixed forests.
but I think it either likes both trees. But I've seen this only growing on conifers.
And you got to move to the hardwood area up here, and you'll see it on something else.
Well, I've seen Tipanella atratomentosa not growing in conifers too.
yeah, I have as well, or at least a mushroom that morphologically the gestalt of the thing fits Atratomatosa to a T.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of difficult to confuse it with anything else.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty distinctive looking species.
Yeah, this
But
one is not.
these two are a little bit tricky, I'd say. But it looks like this Tapanella does have a short stubby stipe. It's
Yeah,
not laterally attached. It's not.
Pupinioides, I think, just has a wavy gills. It doesn't have myrtleoid or bulletinoid gills.
That's what I was saying before. The Curticii, the Pseudomerulius Curticii, that has really strange looking hymenium. You can barely call it gills, really.
Yeah, they're like folds, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the best.
And septa. They look like a little bit like that other gilt bolide that we have. What's the new genus and the species for that thing? It kind of reminds me of that.
Philipotopsis.
Philotopsis, yeah, something like that, or yeah.
That's an old one. There's a new name, or that's the one you were talking about?
Yeah, it's been moved out of Philoporus. So the hymenophore texture, the
It's still
structure
got
is
Phallus.
yeah. Never mind.
Okay, maybe I'll still think this. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we're back on to so we're moving on beyond the Tapanella now. And Mycena in February.
Yeah, there's two winter Mycenas that I find.
That looks like the game of the image.
I would have included both, but I've never found the other one in February. I found it in December, January, March, and April, I have found Mycena overholtzii. And I know that I have found Mycena overholtzii because I've had it sequenced twice. And it came back as convincingly being Mycena overholtzii. But I think this one is semivestipes. This one was not sequenced, but the spores are very small, 4 to 5, the smallest Mycena spores, 4 to 5 microns by 2 with, so those are very small spores. And these look an awful lot like this Mycena overholtzii. I would say one difference might be that if I'm correct here, and this is semivestipes, then this collection has gills that are a little bit, they're more decurrent than the overholtzii gills. So there's these two cold weather species, semivestipes and overholtzii. They look very similar, really. Overholtzii has spores that are a little bit bigger, at least the maximum lengths are at least 6 microns, usually closer to 7. And the semivestipes has spores they don't go beyond 5 microns. They're very small. On both species grow on wood. I think semivestipes is more likely to be found on hardwood. Overholtzii is supposedly a conifer wood mushroom, although one collection that I had sequenced and was quite convincingly overholtzii was found on tulip poplar wood. So there are these at least 2 wintertime mycenas. There's another mycena that I found. It wasn't in February. It was in March, I think, on my property. That I might be different from either of these 2. I'm not sure. That one was not sequenced. This was not sequenced either. I'm just going mainly on spore size here.
The gill attachment is very interesting. And was the stipe red in some of these photos?
Brownish, I'd say. Yeah, see if there's a photo there that shows the stipes. I wouldn't say they're red, but kind of brown. Oh, there's the one where you can. I think that's just my camera. I probably should have edited this photo when it was fresher in my memory what color these things really were, because I think that's just the camera adding a little red. Sometimes my camera does that.
Yeah, I could see that. But they do look red in this photo, which was when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting.
I don't think I think that's exaggerated. I think it's more of just a duller type of brown.
Yeah, but one thing the camera isn't lying about here is that decurrent gill attachment.
The gills are more decurrent than, if I'm correct here. This is a pretty tricky stuff. And this overholtzii was just really established as being present in Eastern North America, within the last 10 years. Before that, Michael Quebec was calling them that overholtzii Mycena aprilis, they were calling it, because they were finding it in April in Canada. So, of course, April in Canada is more like March down here. So 2 cold weather Mycena species. And are they the same? Is this semivestipes also just overholtzii? I don't think so, but hopefully I'll find more of these and maybe I can get them into a sequencing queue.
Yeah, I think that's the real thing. Are they overholtzii? Are they aprilis? Is aprilis a real name?
Aprilis is gone. Aprilis was a provisional name erected by the Quebec people, and after the sequencing was done, it was determined that Aprilis is an eastern version of Overholtzii. And I haven't found Overholtzii in February, or I would have included it here. But our Overholtzii that we get in the east, it looks like these. It's these small gray mushrooms. If you read descriptions of Overholtzii, those descriptions are generally based on the Rocky Mountain or Cascade Mountain version, which is called the largest fruit bodies produced in genus Mycena. It's very strange. Is our eastern Overholtzii the same as the western Overholtzii? I think that might be an open question. Maybe whole genome sequencing needs to be done or something. I don't know.
It seems doubtful, right? So, yeah, sequencing is probably requisite for every Mycena we find, but maybe these in particular.
Yeah, well, there's some that are really easy. Mycena liana, you can't really mistake those for anything. But
hematopsis and things like this.
Hematopsis, yeah, that one pretty much. But who knows? Maybe there's more than one of those.
Sure. Yeah, you're not wrong. Right.
Yeah. But it might just be that there's two different species that have very, very similar ITS, because the matches with the type specimen for Overholtzii, not for this Semivespes guy, but the Overholtzii, it's pretty overwhelming. It's like in the high 99s for the ITS match for the identity.
And
so anyway, this I think is
you're saying Semivestipes, is that like the that species matches?
No,
say it again. Okay, so
I think Semivespes is a distinct species. It's still on Myco-Quebec. I'm pretty sure they still have it there. Now, if you go to Myco-Quebec right now and don't find Semivestipes, then I'm going to have to say, I don't know. Why did they take it down? Because they take stuff down and they don't explain. And then they erect a new name, and sometimes they don't they never mention the old provisional name. But I think Semivespes is a published name. It's not a provisional. And see if Myco-Quebec has Mycena semivespes. If you just search on the search bar Mycena SEMI, it should come up. Well, you're in the index. You may as well scroll down. I think it's still on here. I know Mushroom Expert still has it, but they don't update everything. Like Quebec really updates. They really do. The only thing is once a provisional name is dumped, they never mention it again, which it would be good if they did, honestly, so that you can make these connections.
And just so we're at the top of this page, there's a search function.
I see it, but I don't see it. It's probably coming up. I don't see it.
Now, before you scroll down.
Before I scroll down.
Before you go to index, there's a search on the left. And if you just put in Mycena SEMI, it should come up if it's there. Yeah. But you're already all the way down here. You may as well just keep scrolling. There it is. Mycena semivestipes. There it is. Let's see what they have. So they still have it up. So that tells me that Myco-Quebec believes that Semivespes is distinct from Overholtzii. And because they do a lot of sequencing. Yeah, I guess you're gonna have to oh, it's in it's in English. Oh, that's nice. It stayed in English. So if you go to the where it gives the spore size, you'll see these have really small. Oh, see if it says about the gills being decurrent. Spores 4 to 5 by 2 to 3. So they're really, really small spores. Blades, there you go, blades. Broadly adnate to uncinate. I think that means arched. I think uncinate means arched. If you click on uncinate, it might tell you what it means.
I guess it's that little thing that sort of sticks down.
Yeah,
That's
So
almost like weirdly subdecurrent.
yeah, it's like a big decurrent tooth. Now that looks like my photo. Wouldn't you say? It really looks like, except for the stipe.
Yeah.
And these actually show a little redishness on the
Yeah.
stipes.
That's what
Which is-
I was just going to bring that up, and also
Yeah.
that, and sometimes these translations like that unsign, something gets lost there sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in
Oh,
the
absolutely.
translation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this looks a lot like the thing that you called semivestivide.
That looks like mine. Yeah. And now this comes up in the summer also. See what they say for the season. It seems to like cool weather.
Right, into October.
April to October. Well,
See,
yeah,
that's
kind of weird.
that's interesting. I don't see that widespread of a period on Micro Quebec that often.
Right.
They're
And
normally
that's
pretty specific,
Yeah, they're usually pretty specific. So this can basically come up anytime, but it's not common. They're calling it rare. I think I found it a few times around here.
And if we want to get into it with Micro Quebec, their rarity assessments are based on Quebec, right?
Yes.
So what is rare in Quebec is not necessarily rare here. What is common in Quebec is not necessarily common here.
Yeah, there are examples. None come to mind immediately, but there are things that Micro Quebec says are rare, and I find all the time.
All the time, right?
Yeah,
right.
We have one more observation, which is the beach lover here.
Yeah, Peniophora rufa, found on the same day and on the same wood as those Lecanora, that lichen. So, oh wait, no, that was a different time I found this. No, this one was on a different tree but the Lecanora was on a tree that had these on it, but this is a different observation. Yeah, so I looked for these today because I was in the area where these were found twice on two different down branches, but I couldn't find any today. And I did look. I skied about, I guess went about 1.7 or so miles down a trail and stopped here and there and looked and couldn't find any.
And you normally be on a beach, right?
This was on birch, I thought, but it might have been poplar. Most of the trees here are either there are beech in the adjacent forest, but the trees that are right along the trail are mostly maple and birch, gray birch. But I think there's a few poplars mixed in. So it could have been poplar. And I think these are supposedly like to grow on poplar, although the common name is a beech thing.
Well, when I see it, it's on beach.
When you see it, okay. on
It
beech.
says
It could have been
aspens.
beech.
It
There,
says
there are some
aspens.
beech aspens, right? Yes, poplars, aspens. That's
Yeah.
what when I say poplar, aspen is part of what I'm talking about. And by the way,
Okay.
tulip poplars are not poplars. People call tulip poplars poplars. They're not poplars.
Yes, Dorothy tells us to call them just tulips.
Yeah, tulip tree is a good thing to call them.
Wait, did I just hear they're closer to magnolia?
They're magnolia.
Yes.
I
Yep,
know they're
that's
not.
right.
I know
correct.
they're not I know they're not yellow poplars. I know they're not poplars.
They're not poplars.
Yeah.
Right.
No, just look at the flower. Look
Yeah.
at the flower and think
Yeah.
of any
Yeah.
any magnolia.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Liriodendron, right?
Anything to say about the spores of the Pinniphora rufa?
Yeah, they're just allantoid, I guess you would call it. They look like, little bent sausages. They're not particularly interesting, but it did support the ID.
Okay.
The shape and size of these.
All right. So when we're talking about Peniophora, Albobatia is in the same genus, right? Which is a crust fungus, and this is a jelly fungus.
No, these are like little crusts. They're,
Oh, okay. So they're
hard.
They're hard.
They're also
Yeah, they're pretty hard.
Okay. I've never found this thing.
Yeah, this is the only place I've found it. I've twice in the same area.
And yours is also hardwood area, right, Dave? Yeah, you said it was aspen.
There's a few pines and some weird black spruce or something, but not very many. It's a strange habitat. It's a really acidic mountaintop area. There's a lot of cranberry bushes there. We go there and pick cranberries. And there's these gray birch, lots of gray birch. There's lots of lexinum grows there in the fall usually. Well, we go there in the fall. I don't know what goes on there in the summer. I never go there in the summer. To get into the area where the mushrooms are is it's over a half-mile walk. So I should go there in the summer and see what's going on. But yeah, almost all hardwoods.
Anything else before we call it a night?
Well, thanks for showing my mushrooms.
Yes, thank you for providing some.
Yeah, those are my February from 2 years ago. My February mushrooms. There's probably more. If I went back a few more years, I'd probably find some other things. But those were the 2024 ones.
Hopefully you'll find some more for next week because it's still February.
I doubt it. There's still 10 inches of snow on everything.
Well, we're getting 40-degree weather soon.
There's supposed to be more snow.
Yes. Well, here it's going to be more rain, I think. But anyway.
Well, maybe for you guys, we'll probably get snow here or freezing rain.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining. I'll stop the recording.